This is FilmBookCast.
FilmBookCast.
FilmBookCast, the official podcast of FilmBook. Get ready for the latest in film news, TV show news, and theatrical reviews. FilmBook's podcast starts now.
Hello everyone, and welcome to FilmBookCast, the official podcast of FilmBook. My name is Chris Banks. If you're tuning in to FilmBookCast for the first time, what I do on this podcast is discuss the latest film and TV show news, as well as review an in-theater film. You can find more FilmBookCast on film-book.com by using the search term FilmBookCast. You can also email us at podcast@film-book.com. with FilmBookCast in the subject line. Let's jump right into it this week. Alright, let's switch up gears and head on over to some film trailers. The Morbius trailer dropped this week. It may have been last week, but I watched it this week. It's about biochemist Michael Morbius tries to cure himself of a rare blood disease. But when his experiment goes wrong, he advertently infects himself with a form of vampirism instead. Jared Leto is Morbius, and holy crap, right? I mean, that was my reaction when I seen the trailer. Holy crap. I mean, I'm not too familiar with the comic book, with the story at all, so I'm going to have to learn about this, but I cannot wait to see this movie. It just feels like a horror comic film. I think it's going to be unlike anything that we've seen so far. Check out the trailer for Morbius. I think it's going to be one of the most unique Marvel films to date. Another movie trailer that caught my eye is going to scare you as well, and it's from director Roland Emmerich, and it's titled Moonfall. It's coming out in February. It's about a mysterious force knocks the moon from its orbit and around Earth and sends it hurling on a collision course with life as we know it. With mere weeks before impact in a world on the brink of annihilation, NASA executive and former astronaut Jo Fowler is convinced she has the key to saving us all. But only one astronaut from her past, Brian Harper, and a conspiracy theorist, Casey Houseman, believe her. These unlikely heroes will mount an impossible last-ditch mission into space, leaving behind everyone they love, only to find out that our moon is not what we think it is. Moonfall stars Halle Berry, Patrick Wilson, Jod Bradley. It'll be in theaters February 4th. Check out the trailer for Moonfall. The last trailer we'll talk about this week is a movie coming out the day before Christmas. Don't Look Up is finally coming out on Netflix and in select theaters. December 24th, from director Adam McKay, two low-level astronomers must go on a giant media tour to warn mankind of an approaching comet that will destroy planet Earth. The cast is stacked from Don't Look Up. I'm sure you've heard of it, but check out the trailer. It looks funny, and I think it's going to be a really cool addition to our holiday digest. Check out the trailer for Don't Look Up. It'll be on Netflix and in select theaters December 24th. That's it for film trailers. Alright, let's switch up gears and head on over to some streaming news from this week. Fresh off of its release on Netflix is The Harder They Fall, featuring an all-star cast ensemble including Jonathan Majors, Zazie Beetz, Regina King, Idris Elba, Lakeith Stanfield, Delroy Lindo, and many more. It is a western called The Harder They Fall. It follows the story of outlaw Nate Love, who embarks on a quest for revenge against his nemesis after he escapes from prison. The Harder They Fall is now available on Netflix. Another new release at home is on Apple TV Plus, and its title is Finch. Tom Hanks stars in Miguel Sapochnik's post-apocalyptic sci-fi drama Finch, as an alien inventor who, isolated and lonely in the wake of a climate apocalypse, builds an android to keep himself company and to care for his pet dog after he passes away. Spurred by the threat of an oncoming storm, Finch embarks on a journey across the country in search of a safe haven for his creation, all while fending off a myriad of dangers of this strange and hostile new world. Check out Finch. It is now available on Apple TV+. A new release on Amazon and on Apple and Vudu is The Beta Test. Jim Cummings stars in a satire thriller called The Beta Test, his directorial follow-up of 2020's The Wolf of Snow Hollow. He's a successful Hollywood agent who accepts an invitation from an anonymous sex liaison on the eve of his upcoming marriage. Hounded by guilt and the suspicion that he is unwittingly ensnared in a conspiracy of both infidelity and murder, Jordan must track down the identity of his anonymous partner before his life is shattered by the truth. The trailer kind of gives the vibe of David Fincher's The Game, 50 Shades of Grey, with a dash of The Assistant thrown in. Check out the beta test. It is currently rentable on Amazon, Apple, and Vudu. Paw Patrol the movie is now streamable on Paramount Plus. It's also rentable for $4.99 on Amazon, Apple, and Vudu. Based on the Canadian animated children's series of the same name, Paw Patrol the movie follows 10-year-old Ryder and his team of talking search and rescue dogs as they travel to Adventure City to thwart the nefarious plans of their arch-nemesis, Mayor Humdinger. Check out Paw Patrol the movie. It's now streamable on Paramount Plus. The last movie we'll talk about in streaming this week is Ida Red. Josh Hartnett stars in writer-director John Schwab's action thriller Ida Red as Wyatt, the son of notorious crime boss Ida Red Walker, played by Melissa Leo. Following a botched heist job, Ida learns that she is set to be executed and requests the assistance of both her son and nephew Dallas, played by Frank Grillo, the acting heads of Ida's crime family. With no other options, Dallas and Wyatt must pull off one of the last heists in order to save Ida's life, but the consequences of their actions may inevitably lead to the destruction of everything they hold dear. Check out the trailer for Ida Red. It's now rentable on Amazon and Apple. If you're into horror films, the Paranormal Activity franchise came out with a new installment called Paranormal Activity Next of Kin. It's now available to stream on Paramount Plus. It's almost like a documentary-style film, as a woman descends into an Amish community. But all is not right in the God-fearing community, and in true Paranormal Activity fashion, all hell breaks loose. Paranormal Activity Next of Kin is now available to stream on Paramount Plus. That's it for streaming news from this week. Alright, let's switch up gears and head on over to some TV trailers from this week. Debuting on December 3rd is Season 2 of Pen 15. New teenage problems that Anna and Maya will have to go through in these new episodes. It deals with high school dynamics of boyfriends, dealing with your first cell phone, running away from home, normal high school stuff. Pen 15 is an R-rated dramedy set in middle school as if it really happened in the year 2000. The series is created, written, and executive produced by Maya Erskine and Anna Konkle, who both play versions of themselves as 13-year-old outcasts, surrounded by actual 13-year-olds. In this world, 7th grade never ends, and the pain of growing up is inevitable. Season 3 is going to pick up after the events of Season 2 and Part 1 finales. It'll feature a combination of live action and animated elements. Check out the trailer for Season 2 of Part 2 of Pen 15. It'll debut on Hulu December 3rd. Another TV trailer that caught my eye is the upcoming season of Righteous Gemstones back on HBO. It'll debut January 9th. This season features John Goodman as Eli Gemstone, the daddy of the bunch. Check out the trailer for the upcoming season of Righteous Gemstones. It looks hilarious. The last TV trailer we'll look at this week is a creepy teaser of Season 3 of Atlanta. Donald Glover shared a spooky teaser that doesn't really give us much other than ominous voices saying, "Not to the end of the world, don't you know that yet?" And that's all we get from the trailer. Check it out. It's really spooky. Season 3 of Atlanta will be debuting on FX early in 2022. Check out the teaser trailer that Donald Glover shared with us. That's it for TV trailers from this week. Alright, let's check out some TV news from this week. Perry Mason Season 2 adds Catherine Waterston and more. According to Variety, Fantastic Beasts star Catherine Waterston has been tapped for a series regular role opposite of Matthew Rhys in the upcoming second season of HBO's acclaimed drama Perry Mason. Catherine's going to play an optimistic schoolteacher named Ginny Ains. In addition, the premium cable has also enlisted 6 new recurring cast members for Perry Mason Season 2, including Hope Davis, John Chavin, Fabrizio Gudo, Peter Mendoza, Anahua Rodriguez, and Ji Young Han, Deara Kinpatrick, who plays the role of Clara Drake. She's been promoted from a recurring to a series regular role. Tons of news coming from Perry Mason Season 2. Very exciting news for HBO fans. Some more TV news from this week is exciting news for Wu-Tang fans, as Hulu officially decided to renew Wu-Tang and American Saga for a third and final season. The news comes hot after the end of the 10-episode Season 2. So very exciting news for Wu-Tang fans, and I don't know about you, but I can't wait for the third season. Wrapping up the week in TV news is some disappointing news coming from Disney Plus, as Emilio Estevez will not be returning for Season 2 of The Mighty Ducks Game Changers. According to Deadline, the outlet is reporting the producer of ABC elected not to pick up the actor's option for a second season, after weeks of back and forth with his team over the show's COVID vaccination requirement. Similar to mostly all productions, The Mighty Ducks Game Changers currently has a mandatory vaccination policy for cast and crew, which includes all actors and crew members who come into contact directly with the team. Deadline reports that Estevez declined to provide assurances that he would comply with the policy, thus leading to the termination of his contract. Very disappointing news for the Mighty Ducks fans. That's it for TV news. Now let's check out some film news from this week. Disappointing news for Black Panther fans, as Black Panther Wakanda Forever has to shut down due to an injury on set. The Marvel film has paused due to an injury suffered by Letitia Wright, who plays Shuri. The injury was sustained in late August in Boston, and production was continuing shooting around Wright, but now she's required to rest for the rest of the shoot, and due to this, the production is now on hiatus and will pick back up shooting in early 2022. The Hollywood Reporter reported this. Let's hope that they can get production back on track according to their schedule in early 2022. More film news is exciting news for Universal fans, as the Wicked film adaptation has found its stars. Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are set to play Alfalfa and Glinda. The duo are unlikely friends, with Alfalfa being the Wicked Witch of the West and Glinda later becoming Glida the Good Witch. The film is being directed by John M. Chu. It's set to start filming in summer of next year. Very exciting news for fans of Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo. The last piece of film news we'll talk about this week comes from Warner Brothers, as they finally released the official synopsis of Matt Reeves' highly anticipated The Batman. It's going to be released in theaters March 4th of next year, and from the trailer, Robert Pattinson, I've never seen a Batman portrayed this intense and dark. The synopsis, released by Warner Brothers, quote, "It's an edgy, action-packed thriller that depicts Batman in his early years, struggling to balance rage with righteousness as he investigates a disturbing mystery that has terrorized Gotham." Robert Pattinson delivers a raw, intense portrayal of Batman as a disillusioned, desperate vigilante, awakened by the realization that the anger consuming him makes him no better than the ruthless serial killer he's hunting. Matt Reeves is set to release quite an installment in the Batman franchise. I can't wait for it. All right, time for this week's movie review. For this week's movie review, we have to talk about the Eternals, a race of immortal beings with superhuman powers who have secretly lived on Earth for thousands of years. They reunite to battle the evil Deviant. Eternals is directed by Chloe Zhao. It's written by Ryan and Kaz Firpo. The hype for this movie, it's stacked. The cast: Angelina Jolie, Kit Harington, Richard Madden, Gemma Chan, Selma Hayek, Don Lee. I was looking forward to this movie. I'm a late addition to the MCU. I only recently, over the pandemic, kind of caught up with what's going on in the universe. There's still a lot that I don't know. But I was excited to see Eternals because it's a big movie. It's the first Marvel movie other than Black Widow post-pandemic, and I love Chloe Zhao. So I had high hopes for Eternals, and to be honest, it's a good movie. I like the idea of the Eternals. It's really cool what they did with the plot points, and why didn't they interfere in any of the previous wars. It's included in the film, and their explanations are really kind of cool. I like how they, kind of brush out the storyline around, Thanos and all the stuff that the Avengers did and Guardians and all that stuff, all that they did within that storyline. I love what the writers and Chloe do with Eternals in really kind of tying up certain plot points, and really gives you great context about who these people are, why they didn't interfere, where their place is within the universe. It's actually really cool. I love the writing within the MCU. Who doesn't, right? I think it's very well done. The difference, it's a good difference between the Eternals and Avengers, and honestly, the teamwork within the group. I love the differences in how they depicted who the Eternals are versus a group like the Avengers and how they came together. That's really cool, and I think it's really well done. Salma Hayek plays Ajak, and she is basically, she has a tough role to play in Ajax, but I think she did a really great job. She's basically the maternal power force leading. She's been on Earth for a very long time, and she just I'm not sure why the reviews are as unkind as they are, because Salma had a really tough role in Ajax, and I think she did a really good job with it. Gemma Chan, who plays Cersei, is a phenomenal actor. Throughout the film, she gets more responsibility, which was really cool, but they didn't really let her... My only criticisms of this film, really, are the constraints that they put on the actors, and some of the inclusion of certain, psychological mishmashy stuff is really my only criticisms of this film, because I was waiting for Gemma to really kind of show me something within the film, and I just don't think that she was allowed to. Her and Cersei and Richard Madden's character have a great love interest that boils throughout the film, and there is a love scene in the movie. But my only criticisms of this film is the dichotomy of not really fleshing out a great actor and a love scene with two great actors, but we're going to flesh out all these, social, psychological, political through lines throughout the story. That's really my only criticism of Eternals. I'm not sure that the previous Marvel films really did this. It could be a conscious choice by Marvel. I understand it. I just don't... It's my only criticisms of the film, because what I think Chloe has done with this film, the inclusion of so many unique characters. There's a gay character. There's a mentally challenged character. There's a character trapped in, behavioral mental health issues. This is big stuff for kids to experience and to see. And it's no small thing that Marvel includes it in this film. Then you add that in with the amazing job Chloe did with scenery, locations, texture, costumes, how she shot the film. It's really beautiful. The inclusion of so much culture within both the casting, the characters, and the locations, and the scenery, and the general public that they're interacting with is really beautiful stuff, and it's definitely the most unique Marvel film in the MCU, I think. It's definitely different than all of the previous Marvel films. There's something about it that just feels totally different. The Deviants felt different. I was waiting for more from them. I thought they should be doing more, I think. There was not much going on there with the Deviants. We know what battle is, the general premise of the battle. And I was just waiting for more from the Deviants. But overall, my only criticisms of this film, not really letting actors act, and some of these, some of the lines were very throwaway. I felt like a table read at some point. I mean, some of the detail that we include within a comic book movie, I'm not too sure is even needed. But it's great that kids get a dose of all this stuff, within a comic book franchise universe film. I was pretty harsh when I first walked away from the theater for some reason, that it was just okay. But having sat with it for a day, or having slept with it for a night, I should say, it's definitely the most unique movie within the Marvel MCU. And that could be Chloe, that could be the cast of characters, that could be how they shot the film, the scenery, the texture, the costuming. But it's definitely a unique Marvel film, and I like it. It's a good movie. It's worth your watch. It's worth going to the theater. It's a great addition to the MCU, I think. It's not tremendous. It's not better than Infinity War. It's not better than Guardians, I think. But for what it is, it's the most unique film within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Everybody's associated with it. I wish Kit Harington was in it more, but I'm sure we're going to get more of him as we go. My last criticism would be, what is up with Harry Styles? It just feels stunty for a casting choice. Other than that, love Don Lee. Love Gigamesh, love everybody in this film. I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's a good film. I hope you like it as much as I did. Go check out Eternals. It's in theaters. Thanks so much for checking us out this week. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of FilmBookCast. You can find more of my work on film-book.com. Just search for Chris Banks or FilmBookCast. You can also find me on Twitter. I'm at CBanksy. That's SEE Banksy. I'm also on Instagram, @TheChrisBanks. If you listen to this podcast on iTunes or another podcast service, please rate and review this episode. If you're listening on our YouTube channel, FilmBook Podcast, please like our video, subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment in the comment section. It really helps other people discover our podcast. Please also becoming one of our patrons on Patreon at patreon.com/filmbook. Your support helps us create more engaging content. You'll find our Patreon link below in the description. If you want to tweet about this podcast, just use the hashtag FilmBookCast. Tune in next week for the next episode of the FilmBookCast. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you then.